now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. Man, I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something or share your opinion, give us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but the NBA season is still rolling strong right now. So there's plenty of games to go to. Go ahead, create that account, use that promo code, save yourself $20. I actually used it all the time. I mean, I try and recommend it to people that I know, all of that, who may not listen to sports stuff, but just even work with concerts and all of that stuff too. It works fine. Anyway, one quick announcement too before we move on. So a couple of different things. It was almost from Detroit to Chicago to DC it was almost another place. Your boy was about to be getting out of Chicago pretty soon, but that's not necessarily going to be the case anymore. It was just kind of a pivot. It was a decision that me and my lady came to, and it was a decision we were close to moving to DC, but it turns out a lot of trips and other stuff was gonna be more important for us. So we was like, let's take advantage of these trips. Let's go on these trips. Let's get it done. So I'll be here in Chicago still. Don't worry, Bears fans. You'll still get your noise. You'll still get the trash talk out of me and all of that stuff. So no worries on any of that stuff. But yeah, I'm still here, man. Also, too, another thing that I did want to announce. I really didn't do like a special rollout or anything. I didn't think it's kind of necessary, whatever. And maybe I still will, whatever. But, if you listen to the episode, then you just so happen to be the first to hear it and you be the first to know. But up until recently, so a little before the new year, the Run Podcast is officially a sports partner of Clutch Points. So Clutch Points, man, great media network, great people over there, hard workers. So we finally got a collaboration going on. We're working together. We're working hard. We're getting stuff taken care of. So just be on the lookout for that, man. And definitely, man, listen to the pod on Clutch Points network. You can go on their website. You can listen to the pod there if you want. Of course, man. So that's all the news. That's all the news. Other than that, I don't know why I felt like I needed to update y'all, especially maybe because if you listen all the time. I'm trying to go ahead and give you some information about myself, other than I like sports. But anyway, look, man. So let's go back to sports. It's always slightly uncomfortable sharing stuff about yourself, and I don't care how long I've been doing this. It's still mad uncomfortable. I don't care, and I think it's just because of the fact of like. I genuinely don't know who's listening. I try and tell you all the time, I'm still trying to figure out the audience of who's listening each time, who's downloading each time, who's liking all the videos. I really be trying to count down on it and see who's out here really, keeping task on me. But I don't know, man. And it ain't like it's a bunch of people either. I ain't gonna sit here and say, oh, they got millions and millions and millions of people out here keeping tabs on me. That is not what I'm saying at all, man. I'm still trying to grow, but I just think, for me, coming from a space where I had only 8 listeners in a podcast and only 9 listeners in a podcast, and now I'm finally being able to see that number grow more and more, it does just make me a little curious, like, who out there listening? I don't know this many family members. I ain't got that many friends. Who out there really listening? So I don't know. That's what I think about whenever I do look at the numbers and all that type of stuff. But I mean, hey man, if you do listen all the time, of course I appreciate it. Even if you don't listen all the time, if this just so happens to be an episode where you tuning in and you like, I'm gonna check them out. Hey, I still appreciate it. I always appreciate it. But look, man, I'm way off topic. Way off topic. This is not a I don't know. This is why. Let me go back to sports. Let me just go back to sports. Clean slate. Here we go. All right, so look, this is what we got to talk about because the wild card weekend is coming to an end. We got one final matchup with the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams happening later on tonight. Maybe you listened to this and you already watched that game, but what I want to talk to y'all about really is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers game. So a lot of y'all know the Eagles won that game against the Packers to advance to the divisional round. They won 22-10. The score is going to tell you something different than what actually happened in the game. Personally, watching this game, I thought the game was a lot closer than the score reflected. It was a lot of striking chances that the Packers had to really make this an even closer game, but they just could not get it right. And the thing that bothered me about this game with the Eagles and the Packers is, am I missing something where the Eagles did not win this game? Because I see so much criticism and I see so much stuff about Jalen Hurts. And mind you, I'll be the first to admit Jalen Hurts is an overrated quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts is great. I think he does a lot of things well, but yet I think he is overrated because of the market he's in Philly. He has a strong arm, a big arm, but he's not a quarterback that's going to dominate you by picking you apart, throwing the ball every single week. That's just not his type of style. Again, good quarterback, but his main role is just to hand the ball to Saquon Barkley and keep control of the offense, make sure he's not turning the ball over. I think we can all agree on that. Again, great quarterback, but I don't understand why he's receiving so much criticism, why the Eagles are receiving so much criticism, because I think it's safe to say the media has overreacted in terms of the Green Bay Packers losing and the Philadelphia Eagles winning. We're hearing a lot of different blah, blah, blah about, oh, the Eagles, they don't look good enough, or the Eagles, they may not be ready enough to continue to advance in the playoffs. And I think is like, did we miss something here? Did the Eagles lose this game? Did they, what happened in this game that I missed where I'm like, okay, well, the Eagles aren't good enough to win this game. And I understand, Hurts and the Eagles, they've been catching all of this scrutiny because people may say the offense played horrible. How could you say the Eagles deserve to win when the offense played that bad? A.J. Brown had only 10 catching yards and all of this blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think those are people who are just mad the bet didn't hit. Let's be real. I mean, that takes a toll on a person's emotional well-being. If your bet's not hitting, I'd be pissed too. When my bets ain't hitting, damn it, just know I'm pissed. So I get it. But the thing is, I get the Eagles offense didn't play perfect, but you got to remember the Packers defense is not a trash defense. This was a team who was a top 5 defense in the Green Bay Packers. The Packers finished the season allowing the second least amount of yards in the NFC. So how could you possibly be mad at the Philadelphia Eagles for struggling against a solid defensive team? If you know they're good, of course it's going to be difficult to have your offense thriving against a top-tier defensive team in your conference? Are you kidding me? Where's all the nonsense coming from of Hurts has to be brilliant, Hurts has to throw for 200 and all of this? Whoa. Pump the brakes. Yeah, Jalen Hurts could have cleaned it up a little bit. He could have made some throws, let it fly, but who's to say that wouldn't have turned into an interception? I mean, there's two sides to every story, and I think the main thing people should be talking about is that the Packers has continued to do what they've done all season, and that's play mediocre and struggle on the offensive end. There's been so much focus on what the Packers haven't been able to do on the offensive end that people forget that the defense was actually pretty solid. Finishing second in the conference for defensive yards allowed? Are you kidding me? When did that become an easy thing to do? When did that become something that we overlook? And all of this controversy about the Eagles not being good, and it's like, how do you miss this key aspect of the Packers not being a solid defensive team? We've seen it on display in this matchup against the Eagles, where clearly the Packers look dominant at times on defense. They got to Jalen Hurts, forced him to roll on the outside, and forced him to either throw the ball away or just slide. That way he didn't have to take a big hit or anything. How did we just overlook the talent on the Packers defense when this has been a thing that's been keeping them afloat all year long? I don't get it. It's wild to me. And again, I think it just comes down to maybe some bets didn't hit and people are just pissed. Jalen Hurts didn't throw for 220 or Antonio or AJ Brown didn't have 50 or 70 receiving yards. Maybe this is what it was. But even when you look at Saquon Barkley, a guy who is almost guaranteed to get over 100 yards, he had to get to 25 carries. They had to still heavily rely on him. So the run game, it did crack open at some point, but the Eagles game has never been gotten it up passing. It ain't never been a game. So why all of a sudden we expect them to just go out here against the Packers and just throw pass after pass after pass? No, that ain't it, man. That ain't how they did it, and that ain't how they got to 14 wins like they are at this season. And it's just nonsense to me that people are acting like the Eagles had such a horrific loss when they ended up, act like they had such a horrific loss when they won the game. Wasn't pretty. Every win's not going to be pretty, but any win in the NFL is a good win. And then most of all, they beat an elite defense. Everybody's playing great. This was probably one of the best defensive performances from the Packers this entire season. And again, the stats is not going to tell you the full story. This is one of the things you just had to watch the game, because you look at the stats, you're like, oh, well, they gave up 119 rushing yards. They gave up 169 total. Like, whoa, where's the good defense in that? Come on now, you got to watch the game. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Eagles, man, they advance to the divisional round, and now they're either gonna play the Vikings or the Rams. Gonna be great, man. I'm excited to watch this matchup between the Vikings and the Rams. I think the Rams gonna win. It's gonna be tough because, man, it's gonna be tough. Rams are at home, but the Vikings, they are a solid team. They got an elite defense as well. They're good at the run defense. And then obviously we know that offense is very explosive, but it's going to depend on what type of Sam Darnold we see. They finished off the season pretty shaky against the Detroit Lions. So we'll see what kind of Sam Darnold comes out and play against the Rams tonight. So look, man, we got a quick side note. And then after the side note, we'll jump into some news, but we'll be right back in just a second.